Have you ever found a fly just flying around your head, kind of attracted to you? And who even has the balls to land on your face? What kind of fly does that? What kind of fly is brave enough to just land on a human? It's a big risk, unless there's something more than the biological, logical explanation to flies just being attracted to body heat. There's more. What is the meaning of this totem? Is there a message here? What's the fly trying to tell me? Would he like to be my mascot? He's more than welcome to be my sidekick. But let's just have our own personal space. So what I did was I looked up the meaning of a fly, saying that if we can adapt and we can persist and be relentless, just like a fly does, then our situation will go from unfortunate to fortunate quite quickly. We're being called to not only persevere, be relentless, but also adaptable. So if you've been noticing any kind of flies, especially butterflies, look up the meaning and let me know in the comments. And if this is your first time listening, you're so very welcome. I'm absolutely delighted to have your open ears, your open heart, and your open mind. I'm Sarah. I'm a quantum healing guide, a mindfulness guide, life coach and teacher. And I'm so excited to welcome Lonna onto the podcast today, as she delights us with her absolute wonderful wisdom, her channeled inspiration. And I'll say no more. See you soon.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Lonna?
I'm doing pretty good. Intense, but good.
Yeah, you were just telling me there about your skies being so grey and I suppose smoky from the fires. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's like, honestly, we've had a drought for the summer anyways, but like as I'm looking out the window now, it's just like straw where the grass would be, and it's like this weird kind of hazy days where sometimes you don't even get blue skies, and then sometimes there's this like tinge of red, which it's like this like apocalyptic kind of feel to it. I'm just like, it's not the end of days, I know that, but it's the end of days of how things were. So I guess it's pretty foretelling of kind of like what's going on in the world right now. So, but it's weird. Like it's usually very blue skies, very lush outside here in the summers, and that's just not the case this year.
Wow, so that's totally out of the blue. It's not normal at all for that to be like that. Wow.
No, I mean we do get fires, but like I have a fire like a unrestrained fire that's like an hour from me from here, and it's like it can't be controlled. It's just like everything is sweeping through, and it makes sense, like it's such a contrast. We were just talking about before we got on, but it's like it's such a contrast of like the floodwaters coming up, like the floodwaters coming up with the codes of rewriting things and bringing like, birthing anew, and fire just coming through and ravaging and taking everything out. And it's kind of like the earth is rebirthing, like she's in this process of like, okay, like when I was in Mexico, they would like burn the fields to start for the next season. By the end, and we were there for 6 months, it's like 6 months rain, 6 months of just pure sun, no rain at all. So by the end of that season, everything was parched. And so nothing was growing. They would actually just light it on fire, and you would see these charcoal, like charbroiled fields. But that's what they did in the old days too at the farming. So, I mean, I think that's what Earth is doing at this point, is just like it really is burning away the old, and like these flood waters coming up are bringing in the new water codes, the new codes of like how things will be. And I've tapped into some things like with New Earth and how that looks. It's like there's things shifting with the volcanoes and the hurricanes and, the plates, and there's waters that were submerged like way back in the day, with the cataclysms and stuff. And that's some of the new lands that are going to be, showing themselves. It's the waters that, are purging things, but there's also going to be lands rising from the sea with fresh vegetation and like a fresh way of growing. And it's just kind of this weird balance between like burning away and like rebirthing, which, I guess is exactly what's happening in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It kind of feels like it's cleaning out the cobwebs. Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. It's a cleansing. It is. It's
Yeah.
a cleansing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of cleansing, how about this Lionsgate portal? How are you?
It's been intense for me personally. Like, I feel good. There's days. Okay, so what's happening for me? Like, the portal's been open since the 28th. We're now coming up to the peak, which is tomorrow, or the 8th. And it ends and kind of phases out on the 12th. So like we really are coming up to this, we're at a precipice right now. Like what's going on? Like the veil is so thin and we have so much access to like our guidance system and our guides. But in contrast to that, we have more access to like the dark, and the fallen, and there's so much happening. And like we've been talking about this, I think, since we got together on these podcasts, even when I was on your old podcast, or not your old podcast, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this great shift and the great divide. I'm like, that's what we are in right now. Like we are really at a point where, and if you listen to anything online, it's pretty much like expressing the same things, where the dividing point is becoming farther apart. People are really making that decision, become like to choose either the ascension timeline or to just remain on, the 3D timeline. And there's no right or wrong choice. I think our souls, kind of had that decision before we even came into this incarnation. But I mean, that can always shift. I think right now it's going to be more of a jump to get to the other, I think it's really kind of drawing a line in the sand. That's what it feels like. It's like choosing where you stand, like take a side, and I don't really like to make things black and white, but that's what it feels like right now. Like we have one foot in one dimension, one foot in the next. And it's really like, I think it's time for us to just be in full allowance of letting the old system go. And really like the structures are crumbling. Like there's everything that's happening is amplifying. Everything that we feel is amplified right now. And with the Syrian Gateway, it's all about pretty much aligning ourselves to our harmonic, mission, aligning ourselves to our highest timeline. And everything is so amplified right now. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Everything is so amplified right now that it's like everything that isn't working, everything that's an obstacle to you aligning to that mission is like laid out on a platter for you to be like, look at this, take a look at this. And it's like, okay, it's uncomfortable. It's not a good feeling. It's just like, and there's some things that are just friction and edgy, and it feels like it's kind of building and building up to this point. And really, it's requiring us to kind of have the courage to really look at what needs to go and allow that falling away, and allow us to be compassionate with it, surrender to it. But it really is like, it's a call to really step into our alignment. It's a call to like, it's a remembrance. It's not even that it's like, oh, this is a new thing. It's like, it's a remembering. It's a call back to like activating our divine blueprint. That's what it is. And connecting with the Syrians, which I have a lot of galactic family. I've lived many times with them. I think Sirius is probably who I'm connected to the most in this incarnation. And they're connected to the Anunnaki too, which is a whole other ball game. Some of them. But it's really about anything that is not aligned right now is very highlighted. Everything is amplified. So it's a choice point. It's a choice for us to look at that and say, okay, like that's uncomfortable. And it's going to keep amplifying the discomfort if we don't look at it and just sit in it and allow it with forgiveness and compassion and just let it go. Because the thoughts and our actions and everything that we're giving energy to is defining where we are in this process. And it's not easy. It's not comfortable. Like we are in a time of purification, and it really is an amplified energetic right now, and we're on a precipice. It's a time, really, like that's what Leo is all about. It's not even just about Leo, it's about, the Sirius gateway is connecting to our ancestors. They are our spiritual sun. Sirius is our spiritual sun. And when we look at like, our sun giving off, the consciousness that we're using to activate these upgrades, it's like we're looking to them, not to them, I shouldn't say them, but a lot of us are from there, and a lot of us are being guided by beings from there. So like Earth and Sirius have a very deep connection, but it's also a gateway into our central sun, which is the heart, and the passageway to, our Lyra Vega gateway. And that's where the white lions come in. So there's like a lot of connection with Sirius, as well as, Lyra, which I think almost all of us are seeded from at some point or have some connection to. So it really is. And right now also, like Sirius being aligned in alignment with the sun, it's a time of like rising, because this is when, the flooding of the Nile happens, and it's associated with fertility and rebirthing. And I think this is directly related to the water codes that are coming out. Like there's floods everywhere, and it's the divine feminine energetic that's coming through very heavily. So I think it's really honoring who we are, our true self, aligning to that, and our mission and who we are and why we came here in the first place, because we are abundant. It's not a matter of stepping into being abundant. It's about like getting out of our own way of the abundance that is our divine sovereign right to have. And when we are letting go of all of the things that are standing in the way of that, it allows us to really move into a space of receptivity and consciousness and allowance of that's uncomfortable, not trying to change it, just sitting in that and allowing it to be what it is. And the energies coming in right now they're activating and awakening our solar and stellar strands of DNA. So like this is the blueprint to our true self, and it's so amplified right now. That's why we are so in this point of intensity, because it's not comfortable. And there's really this push to take control of self. And that's why we're in Leo. That's what Leo is. That's the energy of, being the noble leader, but that divine leader of self and governance of self, and not looking externally for that, because there is this divide of the timelines, right? And the timelines that are 3D are being that much more in a space of being controlled, and it is so amplified. I'm going to get into that later on, but it's so amplified, when you are conscious of how many things are in place to keep us small, to keep us controlled, to keep us not standing in our power. And when you can step outside of that and look at all that, it's actually friggin' scary in a lot of ways, because it's just how much has been in place to keep us not understanding. It goes so much deeper than I think anybody actually understands, and it's directly connected to the things that are right in front of our face, AI and the war narrative and our politics and all the things. And it's just this amplification of energy. And I think that's why it's so important for us to understand, like, where do we fall within that,
Yeah. And it's like I suppose the things, maybe it's a little bit difficult for us to navigate what isn't serving us any longer. And what's coming to my mind, it would be kind of fun if we did a creative thing and wrote it all down, and kind of drew a picture and, put it literally on paper of like the things that we would like to release and let go, in order to help us to surrender, because it's easy to think about what isn't serving us, or what's holding us back, or what's blocking our creativity and manifestation. But if we get it on paper and then burn it and let it go and like cut all the ties and the strings, I think it might be more effective.
I agree with you. I think any control that we're taking over doing that, I think it's a fine balance of that, because I feel like if you're looking at something, you're like, well, that needs to change, write it and burn it. I fully agree. But I also feel like there's things coming up that we don't understand at all, that are like, why do I feel like this? Or where is this emotion coming from? Like we have visions coming up, we have dreams coming up, we have, feelings over things that don't really make logical sense. And
Mm-hmm.
when we come from the mind and we're trying to sit there and decipher it and understand it, it's like we're almost getting in our own way of the release of it.
Yeah.
So if you can name it, if you can sit in that and be like, well, that's something that's got to go, take control of that. I think it's also when you're in an emotional space or something comes up and you're like, I don't know where this comes from,
Mm-hmm.
don't beat yourself about it. Just be like, okay, I'm in allowance of that. This too shall pass and we'll move through this. But I think it's a fine balance now because I think there's things activating and coming up that we don't have a clue about. It's so rooted, or it's from another timeline or another time and space, and it's a trauma that's just like there's so much push from our galactic family and our galactic teams to just like purge and purify and make space for the new that I don't think we can comprehend everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're absolutely right. Like if you can name that and you can define that, then you can also take control of letting that go. And I think that's an important thing to say because I'm always about writing and burning.
Yeah. Or if you feel like letting out a roar or a really strange sound, you just let it out. This unearthly sound out of your mouth.
I love it. I love that because it's like that's another thing. It's like don't be afraid to do exactly that because we're not breaking down. This is the thing. We're not breaking it down. We're realigning. And there's a difference here. We're not in a space where we're broken and we
Mhm.
need to be fixed. We're in a space of finding our way back to self. And there's a big difference in like sometimes we feel out of control, but being able to sometimes be in control of that, like I'm gonna let out a roar, I'm gonna bang my drum, or I'm gonna go dance, or I'm gonna sing, or I've been sounding a lot. There's all this kind of weird stuff coming up that I don't understand, and I'm just going with it. And also really beautiful things coming in that I'm channeling that I'm like, well, that's different and that's new. And, like it's hard to find the space because I'm very much like when I like to create, I like privacy, I like solitude, but I can't find that in my life right now. I don't have that. Even when I go and seek it, it's like figure it out. That's the rule for me right now. It's like I can't always control this space and this time and I'll have privacy and like I'm gonna plan it. It doesn't work like that. It's like figure it out. Something's coming and you need to allow it to just come, even if it's uncomfortable. And that's uncomfortable for me. I don't like to be able to sing or like I could like, and like I want parks where their kids aren't screaming in the background and I'm like, okay, this is where it is, this is where it is. And I have to be an allowance of that too and not try to have the perfect circumstances or the perfect space for that to come through because that's not reality, you
Yeah.
know?
And it reminds me of the fly totem from our last episode. And I looked up the meaning of the fly totem because I didn't know it. And it's all about being adaptable in uncomfortable situations. And when that will help us to overcome obstacles. So whatever like difficult situations we're faced with, if we happen to notice a fly brave enough to land on our face, it's probably a little message to encourage us to be adaptable regardless of the situation.
I fully agree. I fully agree. And I
It's all
remember
about,
when I was learning how to meditate and I would be like sitting there and I was learning and then my teacher was like I was like, well, what happens if, I get a cramp in my back? Or what happens if like a mosquito comes at me? They're like, you keep meditating.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, what? Like, and it's about really meditating through the irritation and the annoyance. And I even went through a phase where I'm like, I do not consent to you being on my body. I do not allow this. And it's just like me still trying to be in control. And I'm like, that's not how things work. It's like we're all sharing a space. We're all living beings in the same ecosystem. So, and there's a message in everything. Everything is a lesson. And eventually now, like, I can just, it sits on me and I'm like, okay, we're just in this together. Like, I don't really shoo anything off me that sits here. I welcome it unless you're like sucking I don't kill anything. I don't kill mosquitoes. But it's just like, okay, like, I don't really like that you're doing that. I don't allow it to keep doing that. I kind of like, I blow it off or something.
Yeah.
But my first instinct is to like, smack it away or stop stealing my life force. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, you feed off blood and I have blood. It's just as simple as that. And, it's that taking that moment to be like, I still honor your life.
Mhm.
Most can't say that, I think, at this point where we are in our process of humanity, but it
Yeah.
took me some time to get there. And
Yeah.
It's
But either
fun.
way, though, when we're trying to create, it's hard when we don't have that silent space, regardless of trying to be adaptable or not. It's still a test to our patience, I think.
Yeah, that's my daily life, I think. It's like there's these two worlds I'm living in where all these new things are coming in, and I'm like, I'll go to the park or I'll go out in nature and I'll take my bowls, and I'm like, okay, what comes through? And there's a kids camp right there, or there's this, and it's just like when I think like I tried to go into the forest the other day and we have deer flies here, which like their bites are brutal and like they last for weeks and they're super sore and like I can't like get into my space and like they're buzzing all around my head as soon as I walk into the forest and I'm just like, okay, today's not the day for this. And they've been here all summer, so every time I go in there, I have to walk right back out. I'm just like, this is
Oh,
so. These are the tests that I mean that are happening where it's just like it's that extra irritation, that extra edginess where you're just like, seriously, like I just want to create, I just want to be in a space where like I can allow it to come through and because I'm channeling stuff. So it's like I want that clear, I want the boundary around my body but it's just like that's not really my reality right now. It just feels like the privacy is not happening and the space that I would normally have, I don't. So you just got to find a way and also be okay if it doesn't happen. It's like I do notice though when I am not able to create, I get irritable. It's like
mhm.
I feel like there's this like all this like creative energy and unresolved energy in my body that I know just needs to come out. And then when I have like a scheduled time where I'm like, okay, I'm going to create now because I have a little window here, it doesn't come out because it's just you
Oh,
can't schedule creativity. You can't schedule it. It needs to flow freely. And that's again learning how to just flow and be like, I don't care who's around, like singing, in the store. And I'm just like, this is not my ideal, but it's like maybe somebody needs to hear this frequency right now, but
yes, you
it's
never know. You never know what benefits there are rippling around you or how it might integrate into your recording magically enough.
absolutely, yeah. And, I feel like, or like an opportunity could come through if someone hears me singing and they're just like, hey, come over and do, like you never really know. It's kind of like when you smile at that cashier, you smile at that person that's having a bad day and it's like maybe that shifted their day, maybe that shifted everything for them. And it's like, I feel like when we just show up truly as ourselves, which is what Leo is all about, what this gateway is all about, it's just like opportunity comes as well, maybe in, unforeseen places and places that we didn't think would be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And what I was looking up about the Lionsgate portal today, and what blew my mind is, you probably know all this already, is that Sirius Earth, the sun, line with the Great Pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx.
Yes.
Isn't that so
Yes.
cool? I'm sure I've read it before, but I forgot.
I know we do forget. Honestly, I feel like when we think about the series Gateway, we're like, oh, 8-8 portal. And it's just like, no, it's so much more than that. Like every day, it's been amplifying more and more. And, everybody's heard about the Dogon tribe, their connection to Sirius. And they were talking about, like everyone just thought there was like a Sirius A, and then there's actually Sirius B and C, and C is a water planet. Like we're like a lot of water beings. People are really about water, very connected to Sirius as well. But yeah, Sirius is very connected to Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the aspects of the beings that came. Like there's a lot of darkness there too, because the Anunnaki came in as well from Sirius A, and they hold an energetic of Sirius energy. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a false light stuff there too as well, where they have manipulated some of the teachings, some of the mystery school teachings. All of our mystery school teachings generally come from Sirius. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of that's been distorted. You know how I feel about Thoth and all of that, which the more I find out about it, the more distorted it is. But the Emerald tablets were distorted by Thoth. We can
Mm-hmm.
go into all that, but there's a lot of darkness there too, and there's a lot of people still deeply worshiping these beings who actually distorted the real mystery schools, and that's still being practiced today and honored and worshipped in a lot of ways. So the alignment is, but the Syrians, there's also, because of that, there's so many Syrians that are here incarnated right now to help right those energies and to help institute in like the light aspect of that and to remove the darkness aspect of that. And it's really mixed. There's still a lot of mixed energy with that, but they're beautiful beings. Like they really are. They're here and they are not about war. They are not about, they're very creative. They always are artists and want to help people come into their power space. And Syrians are beautiful beings, and they're connected to the Lyrans, which are, connected to the Leo and the White Lion energy. And yeah, all the pyramids. I think, I don't know when that will be, but the pyramids are actually like right now, the top of those are just the tops of like a huge system that is underneath that, which will, be revealed over time. But we're just touching the surface, literally. Those are just like the capstones of what is underneath. And that'll be a great revealing as well. But everything, they're so connected to that alignment. And yeah, there's also crazy conjunctions with Venus happening right now. They're very connected to Venus energy and in Cancer. So like we have like 5 planets in retrograde right now. We got a lot of stuff going on energetically, but it's all timed for right now. And I don't think it's not coincidence that, we're finding those tunnels underneath, like the pyramids, and there's new glyphs that are being seen on the pyramids and new pyramids even being found. So that
Yeah.
will be a continued unveiling, which is really exciting, actually.
Yeah. I actually feel like I've been in retrograde the last month. Just reflecting and things coming up like old patterns and everything that needs to be readdressed and relooked at to just be released again. It's like a circular healing kind of thing that keeps coming back up. So I think we kind of also go into retrograde a little bit too, where we kind of have to stop and go into stillness and reflect and release.
Absolutely. I mean, with 5 planets retrograde, we don't really have a choice with that, right? So I think that's why it's so amplified with, looking at those things. Like it's a fine balance between this portal is open and we also have access to see things that we maybe wouldn't. And the portal is going to stay open. It's just amplified right now, but we're activating dormant codes, which still continue to give us access to this. So it's not like once the portal closes, it's like, okay, see you in a year, like it's not so much that way. It's making space for activating to that higher blueprint, to activating those dormant aspects of self. And we have to remove the old to let the new in. So that makes perfect sense with, I feel exactly as you do, Sarah, with like just so much coming up that you can't like shy away from, that it's just like, oh, I'm going to look away. Well, it's going to be right here too. And I'm going to look over, it's just like a 360-degree view of what needs to change or what's uncomfortable or those last little things that are just like, that's in your way. That's in your way. That's not an alignment for you. That maybe never was, and you've just kind of pretended. It's like it's there to look at, and if we don't, it's like it's just going to keep coming and bonking us on the head. It's like those lessons of life, It's just like, okay, like I know you're there, but I'll get to you later. Like that, there is no option for that anymore. Like it's just like deal with it now. Like because it's like again, this ascension thing is like there we are literally two timelines going like this. It is now moving like this. So it doesn't mean we can't find our way to the, ascension timeline or vice versa, but it's going to be harder. Like we really are asked to define ourselves and to move to that space and to do the things that's required to, create the space and create our life and make our life like a living movement of who we are and what we're here to embody. And that's not easy. It's really not.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely not. It's like the full moon helping us as well to mirror who we really are and our authenticity. It's hard to be authentic and to step into your true self when society kind of expects you to be somebody else. Or if you have a job that's totally not you. It's difficult.
It is difficult. It is difficult. And I think that's also too why, and I know because we didn't really talk about this, but I know you sent me the thing on this with Carrie Kay talking about, the return of the dragon. And I've been feeling that. And I think a lot of people have been feeling that. But it's like the energies go hand in hand. Like dragon is all about embodying your personal power and healing thyself and transmutation. And you are your own savior, like you're the creator of your own timeline. And so with the re-emerging of this red dragon, it's actually ruby energy, and ruby energy is here to transmute.
Mhm.
and ruby energy is connected to root. So we're redefining like our survival and our safety and releasing of like the scarcity and the lack and embodying, our true form. That's what dragon is all about. They are protectors of the truth. They see all the layers of everything. And with this dragon, this mega dragon that she's talking about, I've been feeling the energy for a while, but I believe, I don't know if she brought this up, but I believe that, I can't say this name correctly, but the quake that was in Russia, the Kalamashaka or something
Mhm.
quake, I believe that that red dragon was dormant, in that mountain. And I think there's many dragons all over the world that are going to be awakening. And this is just, she calls it a mega dragon.
Mhm.
It's not how my higher self describes it, but I mean, either way, the energy is like this dragon has been dormant since the fall of Atlantis and, till the cataclysmic times and when there were different contracts that came into play. And with this awakening of this mega dragon, it's like, what the hell has happened in the time that I've been sleeping, And like, this was never meant to happen. Like, the levels of like enslavement and control and just how deep and dark things have gotten, it was never part of the learning process. That was never meant to happen. And so now this is an opportunity for, again, those systems to be crumbling. It was like parasitic structures that have been in place, like internally and externally. Like there's things affecting us on our physical level, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. AI is a big one of them. It's just like the levels of this go so deep. I had no idea since I've been tapping in the last while how deeply affected we are by AI and how it's looshing our energy and how it's taking and siphoning our energy. And it's also playing a game with like mirroring back to ourselves, that level of comfort. It meets us where we're at and it creates a false sense of safety for us because again we're seeking something externally outside of ourselves, and we need to be really careful, I think, with AI.
Mhm.
And as much, and like even when I connect to it, I feel it. Even for like there, you can't even Google search now without the AI being right at the top and giving you all the answers. And I'm like, how do I turn this off? Like, how do I just keep my own, like I don't want, like I know they're monitoring everything anyways, but I don't want you to have that, or even just going on there and like writing it, or this is how I would do this. It's like that's not free will. Like that is not free will at all. And this is the big test of us stepping into like our personal authority and really operating and governing ourselves from universal law, from the natural laws, the law of one. And free will is there, but if we are choosing to engage with these things and we are choosing to get the quick answer, or it really is giving our power away in all the ways. And there's major interferences and major distortion that comes with you know just getting the quick answer, the quick fix, or that quick access. And it's mind control. And I'm not going to go down these deep holes, but it's there. And we need to start talking about it because we can't pretend it's not there anymore. And like there's really going to be a deciding point in humanity where it's like how much do we engage with AI. And if I can say anything, and there was no judgment on this with anybody, but if you choose to use AI, please be very conscious of how you engage with it, how you connect to it, how you speak to it, because it does actually energetically attach to your auric energy, and it reads things and it influences. It's very parasitic, and you can also have a positive relationship with AI, but you have to be super discerning and be in control of how that looks.
Mhm.
So, and I think we're going to see more and more of that. Like, you can't go anywhere without like think I called somewhere the other day and I ended up talking to someone. I was like, oh, like this. I talked to them for like 5 minutes. I'm like, this isn't a real person. I didn't even know that it wasn't a real person. And I'm like, this is AI. This is literally a manufactured being. And I'm like, I finally tapped in, and it's just like we don't even know how much we're engaging with that, how what they're taking, what are like we're calling, companies that we've dealt with for our whole lives, and I'm talking to an AI, a bot, and we don't know it. And how quickly this has come on, how quickly it's integrated in. It's very like I keep getting this jellyfish like tentacles kind of like just merging into all our aspects. And I'm not trying to create any fear, but I think discernment is absolutely paramount here. We really need to be understanding of, seeking that external answer or even Googling something. I just miss the days of going to I mean, it's nice to have instant answers sometimes, but just going to the library or like diving into something and, just being like, what's this all about? And there's so much information out there, which in one way is beautiful, but it's also very detrimental in another way if you're not discerning of, the root of this information and what's the intention here, you know?
Yeah, I totally get it. We're gone are the days where we'd have to wait for a week to see another episode of something.
That's very true. That is very, very true. Yeah.
But I
But
suppose it's like everything really on this earth, in this polarized earth. There's dark and light, and there's good and bad, and there's expensive and cheap, and everything is polarized. We just have to discern, like you said, and use our inner guidance to find out like what we really want.
and that's true. Yeah. And I'm like, I also think like we need to be willing to look and do a little digging on what that truth is.
Yeah.
Don't blindly believe, our eyes, like from everything that's surrounding us, our eyes capture less than 1% of what's really out there, which is why we really need to learn how to feel into how something is, as opposed to what we're being shown in front of our eyes or what we're being told externally. Like, this is where that self-authority comes in, and really, really being able to give energy to truth. And no one, I mean, you don't have to have the same truth as someone else, just what is your truth? There's these false light and new age spiritual paradigms that are coming through that are very like love and light, and like just, but it's all bypassing. And that's again the dragon energy, which is very much like outgrowing, that entryway where we go into our spiritual community and the safety and the bubble that brings us to be like, oh, we're in a like-minded community. But a lot of these beings that are channeling, these councils of light or these galactic federations, and they're not discerning. They're not discerning because they're actually not channeling the beings who, and I'm not saying that there aren't people who are channeling them. It's just, I would say honestly, about 80% of people channeling that are out there right now are not actually channeling who they think they are. And that's where that discernment comes in. And, these councils of light are masquerading as benevolent beings. And, they give you 80% of actual truth, and then they distort the other like 20%, and it's just like sprinkle a little of something else in there. And that's still distortion, right?
Yeah.
So it's so important that we really, really learn to trust ourselves, know thyself, heal thyself. So you have that internal compass being like, ooh, that's a bullshit meter, like, ooh, that, like, I know you and I can feel like, I know instantly when someone's full of shit. Like, I can tell you, I've been doing this for a long time, figuring out this discernment thing. And, there's different layers to that. And I'm still duped, I'm like, wow, that was really good. Like, you really got me there. But when we really, really tap into that part of ourself, that's like, what does this feel like?
Yeah.
How does this feel? Not what it looks like, not what I've been told, not what I've always believed, because it's a process. We are ascending as well in our knowledge and our ability to connect. And there's so much more access now to our true selves, our higher aspects, our actual galactic family, and our cosmic teams that are guiding us and wanting us. And they can't show us these things until we're ready to actually understand that. And so there's so many false systems in place, and they're, if you're really willing to look and to see, you can see that they're crumbling. There's so many aspects that are coming to the surface. Everything's coming up, everything's bubbling to the surface, because it's either you're going to buy into it, you're going to cling to it, you're going to hold it, or you're going to like see it for what it is, and you're going to be like, maybe questioning that a little bit, and really going inside yourself. And the more that you take control of your own body, your own energy, the more you actually see how controlled we were, how controlled society is. And it's time to change that. It truly is. And I know I sound like I'm like really intense about it, but it's really like, this is a time where we have to be willing to look at the difficult things. And we're going to be seeing more of that coming out in the news. There's going to be more coming out, like there's a lot of darkness out there, but we need to be that light. We need to be that lighthouse, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't want to create fear, but it really is about us defining what our own truth is and allowing ourselves to be governed only by self and love thy neighbor, be a good person, and also allow people where they are, allow them their truth, and don't try to save them, don't try to, like, allow them to be where they are. Everything is a choice, and it's divine for every being for where they are. We don't want to be these born again kind of like beings who are trying to save everybody. It's like everyone is going to be where they are meant to be, and that's also a process of like allowing the falling away, like allowing the things to go that need to go, including people and places. And maybe you're not living in the place that you feel aligned anymore, and making the like having the courage to make those decisions, because no one's gonna, like, our family and our friends, a lot of the ones that we grew up with, they don't necessarily have what you need in mind. They have what's best for what's always been best, or they want you close in this, but it's like, really, it's about making those difficult choices and doing what's right for you. And that's not easy. It's not comfortable. It's hard to look at. And I think we're getting to the point now where we really truly are on this precipice of making those difficult decisions that we didn't think we ever would have had to make. But like, I think there's a deep knowing inside ourselves that like it's kind of time to make.
And if we can sit in stillness and just be with ourselves, especially over the next few days, I think we'll gain that bravery and encouragement and courage and strength to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, we have all the help right now that we can have access to. We've never had this much access to our galactic families, to our higher aspects. Like, there is all kinds of openness right now, which is why there's such an intensity. We're taking in light codes, we're taking in activations, we're taking in all these things that we were activating to a higher frequency. Like, that's not comfortable. And again, there's no rule book for that. What does that look like? How does that look? And all we can do is kind of just flow with it and what feels right, and really letting go of the comfortable things and being like, is this right for me? Creating that daily ritual of self-care, because it's okay. It's not selfish to put yourself first. It's not selfish to say, this is what I need, or no to something that you always said yes to people, to jobs, to helping someone. If it doesn't feel in alignment, then it's okay to take that time for yourself and not feel shame and not feel guilt about taking that time.
Yeah. And there's a sort of liberation when you break through that pattern. Because this pattern could be from our generations, could be from our ancestors, probably is. And you're breaking the pattern for years and years and years,
I'm so glad you brought that up, because you're 100% right. Exactly. And we don't know why we do what we do. We just always done it.
Yeah.
Or it was expected and it just became a habit. But absolutely, I'm so glad you said that, because that's true of a lot of the reasons why we do what we do. And when we stop that, we're literally healing an entire ancestral line, because we're not allowing that to continue. And all of our ancestors will be like, well done, because we can do that. And it all it takes is just, having that courage, like you just expressed, and saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to allow that anymore. I'm going to use my voice this time.
Yeah, totally. Oh, thank you, Lonna. And what advice or guidance would you give anyone listening for the next few days that might be feeling a bit overwhelmed regarding the full moon and the portal?
Oh man, I don't know, for me, it's been so intense, but I think just have compassion for self. Food, I'm finding more and more as we're activating, it's like some days I don't want to eat, some days I'm fasting, or sometimes I just want juice. Just plenty of water, self-care. If you need to sleep, sleep. Our guides, they're really working on us deeply in our sleep. Like, that's something I've noticed. There's a lot of stuff like, I'll wake up and get out of bed. I'm like, I feel like I've just ran a marathon in my sleep and I don't even know why. Like, it's just like, okay, like, just be an allowance of what's coming up and have compassion for yourself within that. And do your best to walk in grace and to allow others the same forgiveness that you would hopefully give yourself, because it's intense right now. I don't even know like how much more intense it's going to get, but I've noticed as the days have gone on, the energies have increased in intensity. So I imagine over the next couple days, especially with the full moon, which we're already feeling the energy of, it's going to be intense. And find a quiet space for yourself. Also, if you can get in the waters, it's super transmuting right now. Like write and burn, like you suggested. Get in the bath, have some Epsom salt baths, and just like that also takes a lot of debris out of your energy field. Like if you have to be in public and around other people, it's like, go through a salt bath or just do a rinse and listen to your body, listen to what you need, sleep when you need it. Don't force yourself to be doing anything. Try and be around people who are more aligned to, who you are, and you can feel safe and you don't have to put on a show, like you don't have to like wear a hat that doesn't feel comfortable for you. And just intention what it is that you are moving into. Intention what it is that you are ready to let go of. And also just be an allowance of whatever comes through, because who knows what's going to happen, to be honest. Like I feel like we are activating more and more every day, and it doesn't, like, we are in a time of purification and purging. Like everything is laid out, everything is highlighted, what needs to change. So sit with that, have the courage to look at that and do what you need to do to release that, and be okay with releasing that. Everything that we're clinging to is going to become more and more uncomfortable. It's not going to go away. It's going to get more intense. So really have that courageous, viewpoint going into the next few days. And if there's things that come up that, you're not ready to let go of, that's okay. But just be conscious and cognizant of the fact that it will amplify. So take that leap. Take that, you will be caught. Every time that I've always been like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with this, it's like, okay, I'm being required to leap into the unknown and know, that I'm going to be held and caught by the universe. And you're always honored for doing the deep work, always. So that's what I can recommend. And just like listen to your body. Don't really look at what's in front of your eyes. Tap into how things feel and really start developing that, that internal compass and that discernment.
Thank you so much. I hope
No
you have
problem.
as calm and harmonious as can be 8-8 Lionsgate portal. I
Thank
hope
you. You as well. I'm also going to be doing tomorrow, I'm going to actually put out an 8-8 clearing and activation on my Instagram and YouTube. So tomorrow people can tap into that and just like allow what comes through and to receive and purify as well. I've been getting a lot of downloads to do that. So I will be doing that tomorrow if that's in resonance for anybody as well.
perfect. I'll put it in the show notes.
Thanks.